Hi there, Sara Naumann here from Studio SN with a card making tip. Today's card making tip is on using the Create and Craft Songbird closure dies to create your own handmade gatefold style card. The technique is really easy to do and it's a lot of fun as well. So let's take a look at the process. First, I want to start with the foundation of the card, which is the card base itself. Now I mentioned it's a gatefold style card, which means that it opens in the center rather than opening from the side. So when you start with a blank card, normally the cards that I get have a pre-scored edge. So this means that they open easily like a book. And so you can see the score line in here. Now what I've done to create a gatefold card base is to measure and mark into the center of each of the flaps. So in the front flap and then the back flap. So I've measured into the center and then scored along both of those lines. And then you can fold them in and they will create your gatefold style of card, which will open in the center. So if you're wondering about the seam in the center here, well, we're going to cover that with some pattern paper, so you won't even see that at all. So this is going to be the foundation of your card itself. So let's take a look at the dies that you're going to be working with. So you can see again on the package here that you're going to have lots of different elements. The ones that we're going to be working with are the right and left sides of the bird. So the bird body and then the bird wings. And also some of this beautiful filigree work in here as well. So the dies are metal dies and you're going to put them together in kind of a puzzle piece effect onto your cardstock that you're going to be cutting them out from. And I used a bright blue for this technique. So what you're going to do is take the die, place it onto the cardstock, and tack it down with a little bit of washi tape or stencil tape. Now, as with any dies, the Couture dies have a cutting side, which is the raised edges here, and then the smooth side. So you always want your cutting side to be facing into your cardstock. So I'm going to position it this way so you can see it better. And then putting down the filigree detail as well. Now, these are totally optional, so you don't have to use them if you don't want to, but I thought they looked so pretty and it's a great way to show you all of the different styles that you can get with Couture. So what I'm going to do now is just tack down the dies using a little bit of washi tape. Again, any kind of low tack tape will do the trick. You just want to make sure that when you run this through your die cutting machine that you won't have pieces slipping around. So then I'll do the same thing for the other piece of cardstock and for the other side of my design and fitting these in here. Now, of course, I like to maximize my space. I'm going to put these down a little bit closer to the bottom. And the wings can go to one edge, but I do want to make sure that I've got plenty of room on the rest of the side because this is what's going to cover the front of my card. So when I have these two elements all ready to go, I'm going to send them through my die cutting machine. Now I have a manual machine here at home and these go through just fine. I generally have to run them through a couple of different times because they are quite intricate dies. So let me show you when you get your pieces all die cut out. This is what they're going to look like. So you can see how beautiful and intricate that is. So I generally have to run this through a couple of times on my manual machine. If you have an electronic machine, it usually just takes one pass, quick and easy. Any of your machines are going to do the trick as long as they are wide enough to take the Couture size. So now that I've got my two pieces all cut out, I'm ready to start putting my card together. So you'll see I've got a lot of cardstock space over here. This is going to be on the front of my card, but I have the bird body extending past the edge and then I have the wings extending. Now this is where things can get a little confusing, I think, because there's not a ready option for how you're going to put these two together. So we're going to set the bird body over here for a second, and I want you to notice the bird wings. There is a little piece of paper, a little tab that's going to be right here that's going to hold this portion of the wing into the border. So you just need to come along and snip. I've already done that. So that this is actually lifting off. Then what you need to do is turn this around and then nest the bird body up into those wings. Like so. And this is going to be the basis of your card closure. So this is how the two of them will nest together. Then you can go ahead and put them onto the front of your card, again aligning the centerpiece here with the center of your card so that this will open like so. What I recommend you do is have the bird body connected, and then put it and position it onto the front of your card like so, and then you can kind of do your shifting around. Then I use a typical traditional glue stick, and I like to use a glue stick for gluing this down onto the front of the card, because then if I need to wiggle anything, I can still sort of slide things around, unlike a double-sided tape, which once you stick it on there, it's pretty hard to pry back up. So then you're going to have your card front, which will open with a twist like so. Now I do want to show you an alternate version of this as well, because some people have asked what it will look like if you don't do the detail work in here. So I've got one that I used as a kind of a demo sample on Create and Craft. So it's been a little bit handled, but you can see without that filigree on there, and just by gluing this down and trimming along the edges of my gatefold card, that I'm able to get a slightly different effect. So really just whatever style you happen to like. The other thing I will add, and this is a good time to say this, always use some heavier weight cardstock for this, because the bird does get handled and you do need to kind of twist and nest it back into place. So a very lightweight cardstock isn't going to do the trick quite as well. So let me bring back in my original card and we can talk a little bit more about this. So this is how I've decorated the front of my gatefold card. I glued down the two strips with the bird body and tail, and then used a bit of pattern paper, and this is from FabScraps. It's their Kaleidoscope collection, and that's covering over the seam all the way to the edges of the card. Some strips of blue and white cardstock on here, a bow, and then some self-adhesive rhinestones on here as well. Now I mentioned earlier about the fold in the center of the card. That's been covered up with some coordinating FabScraps pattern paper. And I also have a really nice stamped sentiment. This is the Painted Inspirations stamp set from Altenew, and stamped in their beautiful Ocean Waves blue ink. And I've also used some of their gray ink to edge around the outside of the card. And then the card just twists up slightly to fold together. And then I also like to, with the bird wings, kind of give them a little bit of shape, because there's also some beautiful embossing on here as well. You can also lift up the bird body a bit, and then you get a little bit more dimension too. So this is how you can use the Couture closure dies from Create and Craft. And if you have any of the other closure dies, they're all going to work in a similar manner. You're going to start with your gatefold card and take it from there. Thank you so much for joining me for card making tips. This tip was from my appearance on the TV show Create and Craft. You can see more at createandcraft.com or createandcraft.tv for those of you in the UK. You can also visit my website over at saranaumann.com. If you'd like to stay up to date on all the card making tips and videos, just subscribe to Studio SN on YouTube and you'll never miss an episode. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.